we go out and spend money on stuff. We go out and spend money on materialism. We go and we get desensitized to those
For
things,
sure.
right? You can only buy so many Mercedes or so many, luxury vehicles or so many luxury watches. Or I don't get desensitized to the experiences. I don't get desensitized to the trips with the family, with loved ones, with friends. It empowers me and gets me super fired up to do more of it. Hey guys, Tim Bratz here with my boy.
Mark Evans, what's going on, guys? I'm Rich.
Now what?
Let's go, Tim. What have you been up to, man?
Dude, just getting off of spring break week. Had the whole fam into Charleston, South Carolina. Did a kind of a staycation for us, right? But it was a vacation for everybody else, and had an awesome week. My parents, my brother came in. He lives in Africa. My other brother, and sister came in from Ohio with their families, and we got a couple houses down here and golf carts and did all the touristy stuff, and it was a lot of fun, man. So it's good Easter holiday week, and kids were off school, so we got to hang out and go swimming and show them around town and do a lot of good stuff there. But you're coming off a big trip too, man. Tell me about the Masters.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, you have to take a vacation after a staycation with all those family members?
Yeah, yeah. It
It's
was
a lot.
you know what's interesting is when you go when people come to visit you when you live in a cool area, right? Like you're down in Florida, uh, West Palm Beach area, right? I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. These are areas that people love to go on vacation to. And when they come down there, they expect you to be on vacation too, you know? And so you're like, well, I gotta jump on this call. I have this asset management call. I gotta talk with the team at this time. And so it's a little bit of jockeying around schedules, but I see it as, and we've talked about constraints in the past. Like whenever you put a constraint in place, it makes you more efficient. It makes you more effective in conveying the message without all the dilution of um, nonsense that comes into conversations and phone calls. You're like, dude, you get right down to the meat and potatoes of it, and you push through and solve the problem or uh, come up with a solution, and then you move on to the next thing. And so that um, having family in town and realizing I want to spend time with family and not being on calls all day or in front of my computer all day. Um, Allowed me to put some constraints in place and allowed me to knock out a bunch of stuff. Oh, this
Yeah.
isn't as important as I thought it was going to be. I don't need to be on this phone call. Team's got this covered, and all that. There's still stacks of emails and stuff that end up piling up, but at the same time, man, it's it makes you a lot more efficient of what actually matters.
Well, it does, man. And not only that, it makes you realize how much we are bottlenecks to different things. We can talk
Hmm.
about this on a different show, but I'm dealing with a guy right now. He's an amazing genius. And yet, and he makes several million dollars a year, which is not a bad deal. But the guy works 16 hours a day. He has a family. He barely gets to hang out with them. He loves what he gets to do. But dude, he should be making $30 million a month. He is an absolutely killer in a
Hmm.
very huge industry. And yet his mind he's the bottleneck. Every call, every meeting, everything has to run through him, right? And I've dealt with that in the past before in the beginning stages, but I realized I didn't want to deal with it a long time ago. But there's a lot of people that suffer from that, man. That's what's cool about taking those long trips. When you're on the plane for 16 hours, you
Hmm.
realize things don't melt. Things don't. You're really not that important to all the situation, the conversations, and all that. None of that. You coordinate, you organize, you delegate, you hand off, empower others. Like there's a process to it. So yeah, man, I get it. One thing about hanging out with family, I don't know about you, but like a lot of times they like to just talk about the problems though.
Oh my
And it's like,
gosh.
dude, I want to solve them. Let's solve them. And
Dude.
they don't want
We're
to solve them.
talking about people, right? When you get into a conversation and everybody in that conversation just talks about other people, usually in an adverse way, it's like, I got to get the hell out of this conversation, man. Like, I just need to leave this setting and let's talk about, things that we're doing and problems that we're solving, like improvements that we're making, like impact that we're making. Like, let's talk about those things and
Yeah.
exciting things as opposed to just like, oh my gosh, I was talking with so and so and blah, blah, blah. And there's just family drama or whatever. It's like, dude, nobody cares, right? And it shows you the priorities of that person, right? Versus the priorities of where we are and why we're just in different settings and different
Yeah.
situations um, in life.
Yeah, and not only that, I really believe most people they're not even doing it on purpose. They're doing it because they're distracted in life.
Hmm.
That's kind of what we were talking about. I just got back from a pretty cool trip, the Masters trip. This is a true story. 6 weeks ago, my father-in-law was very sick. He was down 15, 16 pounds, not eating, not feeling good. He's 79, lives by himself in Ohio. He's a great guy, semi-healthy, like he swims an hour a day kind of thing and all that. But he went down. He went down for a while. And about 6 weeks ago, I hit my brother-in-law up, and I was like, "Hey, I want to take you and your dad and your son with me and Mark and do a guy family legacy trip because his dad loves golf." And I was like, let's take him to the Masters and have him walk it and see it and feel it and, just all this cool stuff. Because again, let's be honest, he's not going to be around another 20, 30 years, right? So,
Hmm.
and assume that he can walk next year or even tomorrow for that matter. There's a lot of thing happens as we get older. So Wednesday, I'm on the treadmill at 15 elevated at 3 point. I'm hustling. It's like 6 a.m. And dude, the thought kept popping in because I heard Sunday he was feeling better. This is on Wednesday. So for some reason, it just clicked on me. I'm like, dude, he's better. So I came home and at 9:05, I ordered the tickets. I got the Airbnb. I got the flights. I haven't even called him yet. His name's Preston. I called my wife up to the office. I'm like, hey, D, I'm going to call your dad. I'm taking him to the Masters today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. And she's like, there is no way. Now remember, Preston does him planning to go to the store is 3 month process. He has zero, and he never does anything spontaneous at all. Like it's so far out of his realm. So, but with the older generation, this is the way you get them. I'll show you guys a secret here real quick. So I call him. I'm like, Preston, what's going on? I heard you're feeling better. He's like, yep. I was like, man, I got something for you today. And you can't say no. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I have my driver picking you up at 2:30 p.m. and we're going to the Masters. He's like, like whatever. So he's literally like talking himself out of it immediately. He instantly, I can't do that. That's crazy. That would never work. What about the tickets? Well, I'm like, everything's already done. And this is the trick. Preston, I just spent $45,000. If you don't come, I lose it all. Right? An older generation cannot lose a dollar, let alone 45 grand.
That's a good point.
So I was like, Preston, I know it's not ideal, but it's today. You only live once. You're back to health. Joe's going. And keep in mind, I haven't even called Joe, but I kind of like, got to kind of like white lie a little bit. Joe and Christian's going. Me and Mark's going. It's going to be amazing. You don't have to think about anything. Just pack a little bit of clothes. There's washer dry on the site. Blah blah blah. So literally, this is 9 a.m. At 2:30, my guy Kirk's picking him up, taking him to the airport. I'm getting picked up at 3:30, going to the airport. We meet. We take a car down from Atlanta down to Augusta, and we're at the house by 9:30 at night. So then we hang out and do all this stuff. But like, dude, it was awesome. Friday we walked. It was a picture perfect day outside.
Hmm.
We walked it, and thank God we did this trip because truthfully, he couldn't keep walking much more. We got there about 7 a.m. We left about 2 p.m. and he was done. Like for the last, we were under a shade tree for an hour, just like, hope my back doesn't kill. His back was killing him, so we had to get him home. But like I kept thinking, me and Joe were talking about like, Joe, what if we waited another year? What if we didn't have another year? What if he's not around? Heavens forbid.
Hmm.
But we saw several people in scooters riding around Masters. There's no way you dreamed about going to the Masters on a scooter ever.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's all these things we got to be conscious of as we're getting this wealth and, using this wealth as a tool, not as an obstacle or a problem or, just keep building to build. We got to take time and think about the people we care about. I'm very conscious about my family, where they're at in life, specifically my parents and my in-laws, and then how do we bring everybody together and do like trips that will just be forever remembered, by the
Hmm.
kids, by me, by him, and everybody. This is the shit they remember on the deathbed, dude.
Hmm.
You know,
No, man, it's awesome that you've done that, and what you guys experienced this weekend. And here's the thing: it's one thing for the older generation who gets to experience it, but at the same time, it makes us feel really, really good because we're able to give them that experience that they would have never had otherwise. And you're laying a foundation for what your son Mark gets to see, and the impact that you're making in the older generation, and the importance of taking care of the older generation, the importance of the wisdom and the time spent and all those kinds of things. Um, Dude, it's a big, big impact on his side of things too, man. So it's really, really cool what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're driving in the car together. I mean, at the end of the day, Tim, someone's got to wipe my ass. I got to teach my kids how to do
Yeah,
this.
it's got to be.
Like, we're gonna
It's
get
gonna be
all,
Marco, dude.
yeah.
That's
I'm
it.
like, Mark, listen, we're boys, buddy. That's how this
Yeah,
works. When I
yeah,
hit about this age and I started wearing these weird things, oversized diapers, dad needs your help,
yeah.
but no, in all seriousness, like we're in the car heading back on Sunday morning and we're talking, and Preston, Joe, we're all in the car, and I was like, okay, Preston, what's next? Right? I think this is the big thing is a lot of people just stop at that moment, and obviously it's not that we didn't enjoy it. We talked about all, I mean, we didn't talk about so much, but like, guys, what are we going to do next? What's the next
Mhm.
big thing? And I'm asking Joe, he's only 50. I'm asking, Preston, father and son, and like, what are we going to do next? Right? What's your next big dream? What's your next big goal? Because his last dream was like, I want you to spread my ashes in Maui. I think I've talked about this. Is I'm like, dude, I'm not spreading ashes in Maui. I'll take you to Maui. And we did that 3 years ago. So there's
Mhm.
things that we have to do as the leaders, and we have this wealth and we have this accessibility, and we're in our prime of making money. Truthfully, our age right now, I'll be 48. Tim, you're way younger than me, but like it's dude, now is our time. And if we miss this time, 20, 30 years from now, truthfully, our parents are not going to even be around. 5 years from now, they
Mhm.
might not even be able to walk. Heavens forbid they get dementia or Alzheimer's and all this other real stuff that goes on every single day in real life. I think it forces you to be present in a real time. You know what I mean?
Dude, I think that what you said about what's next is so important for that older generation, right? If they don't have something to look forward to, they don't have something that, they're planning for and they're getting excited about. And it's like, we've talked about the checkpoints on the journey of life. Like they need those checkpoints. There's nobody creating those checkpoints. They don't have the business or the career checkpoints anymore. It's really, really important to have those like I see it with my mom, for instance, right? My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer last year and had a 75% chance of passing away in the first 12 months. Thankfully, it's been 13 months and she's doing great. But the conversation I consistently have with my family is we need something for mom to look forward to. We need a visit, right? Like I go back to Ohio and spend the summer up in Ohio. We keep a house up in Cleveland, and like you do, right? Well, I think we're the only two people who summer in Cleveland, Ohio. And but dude, I love it.
They're
And
missing out. They're
it
missing
gives
out.
I agree. And it gives my mom something to look forward to. Like my brother, right? Coming back from Africa, who's been over there for 2 years, and he was in Spain for 3 years before that for his job and all this other stuff. Like whenever he comes back, like we plan it, we organize it. I know a lot of people like surprises. Dude, I don't like surprises. I like knowing and planning and the excitement of like the buildup of going on a trip or knowing something's coming and getting all ready for it. And dude, I think that buildup is almost as exciting as the trip itself, right? Like we're
Yeah.
going to Italy this summer and I'm planning this whole thing out, getting all the Airbnbs and getting the flights and the trains and all the activities and doing like this crazy stuff that we're going to do while we're there. Dude, that to me and looking forward to that is just as exciting as actually going out and doing the actual thing. And so, anyways, I think it's really important that if the older generation, our parents' age, right, or grandparents or whomever, it doesn't have that something to look forward to. They become depressed. Like I see it in real time. Like
Oh, for sure.
like they get quiet, they get sad, they get down on themselves. Like there's not and these could be big trips, right? Of to things to look forward to. Or it could be micro things, right? Hey, listen, we go grab coffee every Friday morning, you and your dad, right? Or you go and take your mom out to lunch every Wednesday afternoon. Like that's a micro thing that gives you something to look forward to. You go take a walk in the park every Saturday morning with the family or with the kids. Like create these little micro traditions or things to look forward to, so that way they have something to get prepared for, something to clean the house for, something to, get cleaned up and get a new outfit or whatever it ends up being.
Yeah.
Those things, man, I think instill and breathe life into the older generation for sure.
Yeah, man. Listen, I call my parents every morning. Every morning when I go for my walk at 5 or 6 a.m., whatever. Older people are always up, which is cool. So I always call them and touch base with them. What's going on? They look forward to that call every morning.
Hmm.
So if you don't have something, by the way, everything we're talking about doesn't have to cost money, like you said.
Yeah.
It could be, hey, we're going to meet at the park and we're just going to walk and we're going to do this or we're going to talk or, whatever it is. It doesn't, again, it's really about the, like you said, setting it up and then creating the excitement for it. I have my nieces coming in actually Friday, in a couple days actually. My daughter's like texting my niece, "Oh, you guys got you excited?" They're already planning everything. And as you know, the excitement to get there, then they get here and then they all pass out because they're wore out but right when
Hmm.
they arrive. But it's neat because there's a lot of cool stuff to do and a lot of neat things. But I'm a little bit more spontaneous. I don't really plan out hardcore. I have general ideas like, hey, we're gonna go pull this day, and maybe we'll do this day or whatever. But dude, they love it. It's so important for individuals even like us to have something to look forward to, right?
Hmm.
Typically, our thing is like business building, and so we gotta make this a priority in our life where you're plugging these things into your calendar for your family. Because I can tell you right now, they will not plan it at all.
Yep.
I'm planning something for the Evans family for July 4th for my sisters, it's like 18 of us. And like a message them, hey, here's the deal, here's what's going on. You guys available? Okay, we're gonna make it happen. Like this is stuff they could easily do, but they would never do it just because they're so consumed with day-to-day life and all that stuff. And
Yep.
by the way, I'm not complaining. It's just that I think it's a privilege that we get to do this kind of stuff.
Dude, do you ever feel 100% it is, by the way. A lot of things are a privilege in our lives that we
Yeah.
get to do. Like it's a privilege to have multi-million dollar problems, right? It's a privilege to be able to get up and hammer out phone calls and a lender saying, "Hey, we got to work on this, whatever." Like, dude, that's a privilege to have those kinds of problems because most people, like, I would have killed for those problems a decade ago or 20 years ago when I had different problems, much smaller problems, right? There's a lot of things today that past us would be begging for the opportunity to deal with those types of problems. So,
Mhm.
putting that in perspective, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
Question: do you ever get, because dude, you take a lot of awesome trips and you do a lot of over the top, amazing things for a lot of other people. Do you ever get desensitized to like all the trips that you're taking and all the things that you do and all the cool shit? Um, or is it like it's still like every single time it gets you really fired up?
No, man, listen, it gets me fired up because it's not about me, it's about them.
Hmm.
Right? So I'm thinking about I'm very focused on the attention to detail. Like I said, my driver is going to pick you up. No one says that in our world, right? Where I come from, like the driver, what the hell do you mean? Grandma's driving us that? Like they don't even know what that means. So it's like I just love to like coordinate that and articulate the conversation. And then when Kirk picks him up because he's been driving me for years, he's having a conversation with my father-in-law, and then my father-in-law see, oh my God, Kurt loves you, man. But like all these cool things. And then by the time he gets in the car, how just everything's so smooth and seamless. And I work really hard to make it look easy. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Not just me too. My team, I helps with that as well and some of the stuff. But no, man, I think if anything, it actually becomes again, because we want to make things better. Each time we do something, we're like, wow, that sucked. That was fun. Okay, let's make it better. So I'm constantly looking how to make things better for experiences, even for like, dude, we're in the car heading to the Augusta to our Airbnb. I'm in the car. I'm like, Preston, what do you want for food? But I'm ordering DoorDash, Kroger to the house. By the time we arrive, the house is stacked, right?
Hmm.
So we live in a beautiful time to be alive where literally I don't have,
It's
back in the day,
insane, dude.
yeah, I'd have
Yeah.
to call someone, I'd have to coordinate that. And I could literally on the drive, by the time we show up, boom, everything's on the porch and we're in business. You know what I mean? So always how to turn it into an experience. I'm always thinking about this because we were at the Magnolia Club. If anybody's been to the Masters and you haven't went to the Magnolia Club, you should do it. This guy and his wife in 2008 they bought a house near the Masters tournament, and they turned it into a club. And then they just kept expanding it. The guy has a background in food and concierge and all this cool stuff. But he's literally evolved this thing to an amazing experience. It's $900 a day per ticket. But you go in there and they got the simulator, they might have 7, 8 bars, they have free cigars, they have free food. The service, every time you're even thinking about putting your drink down, they're like, do you need another drink? Do you like, and or they're not even asking, they're just handing you. So it's just this guy's taking each day and to make it a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So our vision is limited to what we can even imagine. And I love that. That's what I kind of like about it because 90% of the trips I do, I would never do by myself, dude, ever.
Yeah.
This is stuff I would never ever say. I'm not sitting around like, how do I go to the Masters today? I'm more thinking about, dude, my father, like, I got so excited about that. I got more excited to convince him to go in the same day. It was kind of funny, but like, I got more excited about that than anything because, and then we get together and then we just talking. And as you know, it's not just the Masters conversation. It's like, I'm paying attention to all the time. What does he like? What doesn't he like? Is it too much walking? Not enough walking? Is it too much food? Not or good food? Does he not like this? Too loud of music? So I'm thinking about all this stuff because the next experience, I want to make it a little bit better.
Yep. Yep. And that's when I asked you that question, I expected, I was hoping that would be your answer too, right? Because we go out and spend money on stuff. We go out and spend money on materialism. We go and we get desensitized to those
For
things,
sure.
right? You can only buy so many Mercedes or so many, luxury vehicles or so many luxury watches or uh but what I have found, and I'm in the same boat as you, is I don't get desensitized to the experiences. I don't get desensitized to the trips. I don't get desensitized to the memory making of going and doing actual things with the family, with loved ones, with friends, that kind of stuff. Dude, it empowers me and gets me super fired up to do more of it versus the other places where you can spend money and some of those things, I do get desensitized to. So
Yeah.
I think that's an important delineation in our heads of making sure that this is something that, like, if we start focusing energy and resources towards this, it's going to be stuff that compounds over and over and over again over time, and it continuously gets better.
Yeah, and you said, for our parents or people we care about, they have to have something to look forward to. The truth is, it gets me something to look forward to because when their dreams can become my dreams and I can make their dreams become a reality, that makes me very excited. So think of, I mean, dude, there's so much opportunity with this. We were talking about this earlier, but like everyone knows their budget for their marketing, their business, and their CACs, and they know all this stuff in the business. All of us are business people here, probably. So, what is your family budget? You know your house electric budget, you know your cell phone budget, you know your car budget, whatever it is. Do you have a family legacy memory making budget every year? What does it look like? Because the truth is, I mean, dude, even on Thanksgiving, I do the football thing. A lot of this stuff doesn't even make sense financially. It's not meant to make sense. It's meant to make it memories. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So going out there and then, how do I create a football field, turkey bowl, and create videos? And I could stop there, but then we get cheerleaders, and then we get an announcer, and then we get fire bombs, and then we get the fireworks, and then we get the smoke coming out, and we run like, and then we turn it into a video, and we send it to everyone, and then we get pictures hung on the wall. Like, there's so many things you can do, and if you just make it about money, 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 obviously that's silly. But like, this is about making massive memories with your people you care about the most.
Mhm. No, dude, I love it. And so how would you identify what that budget should look like? Is it whatever you want to do? Is it like for me, we don't necessarily budget. I guess I haven't really budgeted money, but I'm like, hey, I want to take at least 3 trips a year, right?
Yep.
And here's the 3 big trips. Like last year, we did Hawaii, we did Europe, and then we did Africa at the end of the year. And there were 3 big trips. Um, this year we're doing Italy, and then we're doing Italy actually 2 different times, and then probably going to do South America or Central America or something like that. But I don't necessarily have like a budget set aside for that. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I pay for things um, in points, right? I have so many Amex points that like covers the hotels, covers the flights for 1 or 2 of the trips, and so I don't necessarily have to spend a bunch of money. The other ones, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, let's go for it. Do you have a certain amount of money that you have allocated for family trips on an annual basis, or do you just kind of like let that come and you figure out, here's how much it's going to cost and here's how much we want to allocate towards it?
Well, number one, I've never done a budget in my life,
Yeah.
personal business or anything. Some people spend all their life inside of a budget and never step outside of it and go make money to not worry about a budget. Like you said, I want to do 3 trips, whatever it costs, because that's what I'm going to do. We all do have a budget in our mind, though, kind of like when we're booking a room, do you spend 2 grand or 5 grand? That's a budget. Like that's you kind of have some guardrails to this. I'm more talking in global terms. If I was talking, to a big audience, like you should have some thought on how much you're going to put in the beginning, just like, maybe it's 10 grand a year. Just kind of think of something that is, a number that can make sense for where you're at in the journey. And not, like I said, it doesn't have to be something huge. It could be, hey, I'm going to take my family for 2 days to the old man's cave. That might be 3 grand. You know what I mean? Like it's not a big deal, but it's a huge deal to them.
Hmm.
So, I mean, 6 figures a year easily for guys like us, right? We could easily
Yeah.
spend because again, and when I say spend, that could either be points because that's money that could have been spent somewhere else, and or hotels. I want to stay in nicer hotels. I'm not staying in the cheap hotel. I want to stay in nicer Airbnbs, or So there's a lot of that stuff you have to take into consideration. But start with where you're at. I think if anything, it's just be conscious of what you're doing with your time and energy with other people's dreams, not just your dreams.
Hmm.
You know.
Dude, it's good stuff, man. Yeah, I think the just yeah the planning, the excitement, the allocation of saying, hey, like some people put a budget together. I budget time of the year, so I'm like, listen, in July every single year for 3 weeks, I don't plan anything in July because I know I'm going somewhere for 2 to 3 weeks internationally with a family, right? Same thing for usually on New Year's, or we'll take some local domestic, Caribbean or Central American trips like during the spring break holiday usually and stuff like that. And like those, I kind of budget. I put guardrails out there because I don't want to overbook or overcommit to anything else, and make sure that that stays allocated just towards doing an awesome trip with the family and making some incredible memories with them.
Yeah, dude, I think at the end of the day, the biggest message here is, get excited about other people's dreams that you care about because individuals like us talking and listening on the show can make those dreams become a reality. And it's really, really cool if your dream is to make their dreams come true because now we all win. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it really gets fun. And it gets, listen, straight up, it's annoying sometimes too because this is inside of us and it's like, but I got stuff to do. Like I literally had to clear my schedule, right? Like that day, boom, off call, car picked up airport, boom, everything changes. That's the beauty of, doing what we do to get to this point where I'm rich, now what? Now
Hmm.
I'm rich, now what? Now what is like sometimes this carries a big responsibility. Another thing too, Tim, is what's cool about in these conversations. I like to talk about everything. So when we're even in the car, I'm like, Preston, you're talking about death. How do you want to be buried? How do you want to, we talk about that. I like to talk about that stuff because most people don't, and they act like they're
Hmm.
never going to die. And the last thing I want to do is be fighting with his son or my wife fighting with her brother and sister. No, dad wanted this. No, mom wanted that. No, so, but like, why not just write it on a piece of paper and let us grant your wishes? Maybe you want
Hmm.
a huge party at your wedding, your funeral, or maybe you don't. What do you want? Like most people aren't talking about these things. And what I find in these kind of environments, and it's not morbid, it's reality, and it's done in a tactful, cool way, not like Preston, toss you out and just set you on flames. Like it's a really high level, quality conversations. They already know this is going to happen. We all know it. And the older we get, the more we know it because all your friends are dying around you. And
Hmm.
then not only that, they're online seeing all their friends fight about what's going on with the money, what's going on with the funeral, what's going on with this, who should be there, who shouldn't be there. These are questions I like to really know because at the end of the day, don't we want to grant their wishes?
Hmm.
And if we don't know their wishes, how can we grant them? Right.
Yep.
So all this comes down to communication, understanding where they're at in life and what they want to accomplish. But you got to get real conscious of where you're at today and then also the people you care about around you because even our young kids, Tim, right? Your daughter just turned 11 yesterday. So my son's getting ready to turn 11. My daughter turns 7 in like a week from now. Like there's so much going on and there are certain there's time moments as well, right? You got to be conscious of the time of where we're at in the journey so we can do these cool experiences and make these memories with the people we care about.
Yeah, man. And I think, removing them from their standard setting and then being on an awesome trip like that, it opens the doors to have these more meaningful conversations too, right?
Sure.
Because like I do my best goal setting when I'm on vacation usually.
Yeah.
Like I wake up early before anybody's awake. I'm in this awesome Airbnb or this awesome hotel and I'm in this incredible country and I just go and jump on my laptop and goof around with what do I really want? What do I not want? What are my goals? What are my ambitions? What are my things I thought I wanted that I want to remove, right, from the goal list, or things that really have become far more important for me. And because I'm outside of the standard setting, I'm outside of the normal day-to-day mundaneness that will dumb down your ambitions, or dumb down your excitement. It'll you always revert to the practical thing, right? In that situation versus if you're having these conversations when you're on vacation, going to the Masters, spontaneously jumping on a private jet with the best Airbnb with tickets to tour this thing and go to the VIP experience behind it. Dude, you can have a conversation of like, hey, you know what? This is another level of perspective that I can see in life. And you can start opening up the doors to those conversations. That's when I have a lot of the best conversations with like with my dad or with my family members or with at masterminds and stuff. It's got to be outside of the normal environment, which
Yeah.
then creates the creative juices flowing, and you can have these conversations and you can talk about more difficult, uh, topics, if you will, and it doesn't seem like that because you're in an awesome experience. You're in an awesome setting, and I think that's powerful, man. You've done a great job with that. I remember very vividly when we took the yacht out back in like that was 2019. That was a long time ago, and we had all the spouses hanging out and on top of the boat the one day, beautiful day, sailing around, and you started asking questions of the wives and got the wives talking and opened up doors and dialogue that we never had before, and it makes it a little bit easier talking about, hey, you're married to a crazy entrepreneur and a crazy business owner, and you got all this other stuff going on. Like, how do you feel about this and that situation? And it shows. That they have so much to be grateful for, right? And if you ask that situation when the kids are running around the house and
Right.
you got to cook dinner and the trash is overflowing or whatever it is, laundry and all this other stuff, you're going to get a different answer than doing it when you're on a trip or having an awesome experience, and you'll get a much clearer answer and a much more articulated and I think reasonable and rational answer of like, oh yeah, this is really, I get that the craziness of life goes here, but we have these awesome experiences and blah blah blah. So, anyways, I think it's a great time, another great reason, right, to then force ourselves to take these awesome trips and have these conversations with our kids, with our spouses, with our parents or cousins and family members, friends, loved ones, whomever. So it's good,
Well, it
man.
opens them up, right? I mean, when we were on the yacht, I remember all the guys were mixing a bunch of concrete in a bucket. I wasn't sure why for each one of their wives in case they get the
Hmm.
wrong answer, we'll toss them over the side and push them down the ocean. But in all seriousness, what happens is, it's not reactive. It's almost like in the world we have a real fence around us. So
Yeah.
inside that fence, i.e., our bubble or whatever, our day-to-day lives, like we're just like boom, 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 boom. As opposed to when we step out of it, it's almost like I'm in a safe place. I'm in a good place. I don't need to know the right answer. I just need to answer what I believe or
Hmm.
feel. And when you can create those safe environments or safe conversations, it allows everyone to actually get back on the same page. Again, because God, man, honestly, life just gets a hold of us sometimes, and we just get busy being busy. So it is neat to kind of have those and have some thoughts to that. So yeah, man, I think this is a great topic. I think many people, I think everyone should be doing this in one way, shape, or form all the time. And if you guys do have done cool trips or I would love to know what they are. Maybe there's trips I'm not even thinking about that I'd love to do with people I care about and all that. So love to find that out and shoot us a message on it, social media. Follow Tim and I on social media. Give us a 5-star review. Let us know how you're liking the show. And if you have anybody that you think could learn from what we're talking about today, please share the show. That'd be a great gift to us. And Tim, what else on your side, buddy?
No, man, that sounds great. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. We are here every week on I'm Rich Now What, trying to talk about what are the things once you've built a business, once you've built a career, once you've checked the box on some of the financial things, what is next, right? Like, what are we focusing on? What are we really building a life around? And I think a lot of us early on in life focus a lot on the money, a lot on those things. Then what, right? And that's the problem that we're trying to solve on this show. So appreciate you guys being here. If there's ever a topic that you want to hear about, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love strategizing, ideating different topics and different things that we could talk about on this show, different guests that we can bring on this show. We got a whole bunch of rock stars lined up, and we're gonna be asking them some really, really good questions, pertinent questions, and probing type of questions. So
Excited.
hopefully all stuff that you guys can get a lot of value on and then implement and integrate into your own life.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.